What is going on, guys, and welcome to another Beta Memoirs. And if you haven't done so already, consider subscribing if you're looking for stock market analysis and drop a like to help with the algorithms. So, as we left off yesterday, another day of chop. The market is again waiting. I talked about this yesterday. It could be options expiration on Friday. We'll take a couple days for money to rotate into different contracts. And then we also do have the Fed talking about stable coin tomorrow around 11 o'clock a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So that we'll see what that does with Bitcoin and how Bitcoin is affecting the market. Like I've talked about yesterday, a couple nights in a row, is essentially that the market has almost been running in parallel with Bitcoin, and Bitcoin's kind of been an inflation gauge on where inflation is. So if new numbers come out, again, we're going to have data every week on inflation. And so if something spikes, we'll see a spike in Bitcoin. And I know a lot of people have been talking about for Bitcoin to essentially reach the 100K, 150K, it ultimately would be driven by the fear of inflation. And so I think tomorrow with the stablecoin talk, I know it's been a big debate back and forth, and the Fed really wants to do something about this, trying to peg a stablecoin and their viewpoint on it. We'll get more insight in on it tomorrow, but ultimately, I think it should propel us forward. Again, option expiration as well on top of it. So we got a lot of little itsy bitsy things. That's why we haven't really sold off. We haven't really pushed too much. A lot of the big moves have been in the morning. We get pops, and then normally towards the end of the day, we'll get another pop. But majority of the day is pretty much just stagnant. The market is very bullish, and again, no real incentive to sell at the moment. We're all aware of inflation. We're all aware of the pandemic and everything that's going on. Supply issues are getting better. We're seeing that, and so ultimately, it's just gauging again what is going on, especially with the chairman slot as well. We have to see what goes on with that. But again, I think that's going to be more towards the new year. And see how we do there. Again, this bull markets, you do have to be cautious. Right, a lot of these levels, price action still showing very much to giving very much to the bulls. Right, you don't see very many bears out there at all. I know a lot of analysis do talk about it being overextended and everything, and I get that technical wise, but price action wise, you are not seeing any pressure to the downside. There's no reason to sell, especially after all the meme stock stuff earlier this year and everything. That is really kind of, I think, scared away a lot of hedge funds to be shorting, especially right now, because it's just so strong to the upside. Every dip is being bought, and so it's extremely hard to try to fight that. But being said, the market in general, again, we're still in the sideways pattern. We actually showed some strength. We almost hit all-time highs today. I do expect us to hit that possibly by the end of the week. I think tomorrow we might sell a little bit. Really just depends. We might even gap up. But if we can break this 47,617 tomorrow, get a candle to open above that on the hourly, I think we are going again for all-time highs. I think we got plenty of room to go from this point. Again, we got the new year and stuff rolling around. I think we have to be especially cautious going into the new year and see what that brings. But we'll definitely have to see. I like to play it day by day. This is why I give daily updates, because things change on a dime. Bitcoin did quite a bit of selling today, but it's still holding. It's still bullish, in my opinion. We're still just been playing range. Nothing's really changed. If you can see here, the support here on the daily, we tagged that, popped up. Again, I think we're probably already going for another leg up here, at least retest the 66, I think, in my opinion. And then we'll see if we make a head and shoulders here and sell off. I think at that point would be a little more cautious at that point. If not, I think we can take off in jet. Again, I know there's a lot of price predictions for 100K. I would be very cautious for that. If you are up a lot at this point, especially on that last sell off when we were down at the 40K mark. Just be mindful that if you've gone up quite a bit, you should consider taking some profits, right? It's not financial advice, but again, this bull run has been very crazy, and I know it's full of a lot of steam, but eventually it will come down. Depending, though, again, money's been printed. 40% of our money's been printed almost this year alone. So you have to understand that these numbers, the way the market is running is very hot because of that. And it doesn't just take a couple months. It could possibly take a couple years where you see any kind of pullback with the amount of money that's been printed and put into the market. So as far as tomorrow goes, I'm really looking at, I think Tesla's a really good one. Tesla finally pushed back. It looked like it broke the wedge today. Wanted to stay above this 1040 mark. If it can open above this 1040 mark tomorrow, I think this is going to start making its new way up, start pushing the market back up as well. I think you got kind of seeing a little bit of life in Apple. Apple's been kind of really disappointing. It's done a lot of chop. Even before this massive, this big run it's had here, it's had these massive periods of chop before it has a run. Looks like we're building another big period of chop before we start running again. But I think it's going to be very explosive. When it does run, it is very explosive. It runs for probably about a week solid. And at that point, it gets back into that chop mode. Facebook, same thing. I think you're going to start seeing a lot of strength in Facebook too. Facebook, I think once it really starts getting gas, it's going to really start going. So those are my three primary that I think are going to lead. Obviously, Microsoft really hasn't let up. Microsoft just been going essentially straight up. It has definitely been a leader in the space on the FANGs and definitely helping keep driving the market up. A couple of these other laggers, like your Squares one, I like it's back over the 200 at the 235 mark. We definitely want to hold it, but I have to realize that there's a lot of overhead resistance. We still got to break through, so it might get pretty choppy until we at least get back over that 247 mark. Once we get back to that, I think we could start getting a little bit more gas at that point. SE had earnings this morning. It looked promising. It gapped up overnight or this morning, and then it just sold off completely. So I want to definitely still keep this on watch and see where it goes, the e-commerce space and gaming space. And there was talk about China easing up on the gaming as well. So just any kind of news about that kind of just pushes the whole gaming space in general. So we want to see how that plays out. Google has been losing some steam, breaking that 3K mark. Google doesn't really make a lot of huge movements. So kind of expecting this to pull back. If it does, I would expect the market to pull back. But like I said, I think the market is going to pull back anyway. So we have to see how that goes. Coin, like I said, I want to see how Bitcoin does, but I think it's on the cusp of making some big movements. So that's one thing I want to keep on watch. Again, Bitcoin, I think, is ultimately waiting on tomorrow with the stablecoin talks with the Fed. The Fed keep hounding about doing something with the Fed. I believe there was also something in the infrastructure bill that just got passed, essentially trying to flag all 10K transactions, and that needs to be documented and reported to the IRS. And so I think that might have passed. I wasn't sure if that was left out or not. I know that was a big key element in the infrastructure bill that a lot of people weren't aware of. Roblox, absolute beast. They actually had Investor Day today, which is very impressive. But even still, 120. I don't really know how much higher this is going to go. Again, the multiverse stuff, metaverse stuff is still way far in advance. Even the stuff they were talking about today is still way far in advance. And so for this to actually continue up, I think it's going to eventually die here pretty soon. Typically, it was only moving when the market FANG was essentially stalling or dying out. You'd see strength in Roblox, but now it's kind of running in parallel with everything else. So I definitely want to keep on watch. It's been good, but I think the strength I don't think it's going to last much longer over this 100 level. I think we're going to possibly see another dip below 100 eventually, fairly soon. In my opinion, I think it's very much possible. There is a lot of hype in the stock right now. I just had earnings, and then Investor Day was another huge hype session, so it could possibly continue up forward. You definitely wanted to break above this 121 and then get back into price discovery and start pushing again from that point. But until then, definitely be careful because it looks like we may have found a top, so we'll probably pull back down to this 111 mark again here shortly. UPST has really just been rattling around. I do like the consolidate. It is consolidating quite a bit down here. I've been wanting to grab back into this. I tried to grab this at this 231 mark. I did miss it. One to think I think you want to keep on watch because I think once this thing reverses, it's going to start making up ground very quickly. It does have a lot of resistance right now, but I think it's going to blow through that stuff fairly fast. Amazon, it's just been nothing but chop. This whole market's looked just like Amazon. Again, I don't think this is going to do much until the market starts getting some answers. I think it's just options expiration is what's just stalling the market because the market wants to go. You're getting these massive pops in all these FANG stocks in the morning, and then they just die out to the day. And I think that's mainly just because of the fact that, again, the options expiration. And then you got Shop, which has been sitting, had that massive move the other day, and then they got downgraded yesterday, but still held. So I think Shop is on the verge of also making another big move here very shortly. So definitely keep alerts on watch on that one. TTD has been an absolute monster. You definitely want it to hold this 107 mark. So if we get a retest of 107, as long as it holds that, look for this to make another pop and run tomorrow. It's had a nice pop in the morning, then kind of slowly melted up throughout the day. But we've had a couple nice pops in here, so I don't really know how much more that bad boy is going to go. Just realize it will eventually run out of gas. I'm trying to look for ones that, like NVIDIA here, and consolidating. They do have earnings tomorrow evening. So after the bells, you want to watch this one. I think that's what this is waiting on. Once it does get that, I think this one could start really exploding from that point, start making some massive moves. So 1 hour tomorrow on the nightly update, we'll definitely look into this one, see where this one's at. Then you get Airbnb. It's made it all the way up to 211, which is absolutely crazy. I do like Airbnb a lot. One that I really enjoyed throughout the year. I did stall for a good portion of the year during around midsummer, but finally showing signs of life. Kind of hoping this kind of does sell off again, but I definitely have to see how that plays out remaining forward. I think another good one here is Moderna here. It is consolidating a lot, which I do like. If I could snag it at this 225 mark, would be fantastic. And then kind of let it push up from that point. It is below the 200. Normally below the 200 is a good buy for the most part. So there's been a lot of negative news and stuff on Moderna as well. So keep that in mind. But looking hopefully for that 225 mark and then possibly getting commons in this or long-term option plays for a couple months out anyway. And then wait for the next pullback up, I think is coming around the corner as well. And then I think that's pretty much it. That's what I got. The market itself, I think, is ready to start running. Again, a lot of mid caps, small caps, everything's kind of slowly grinding up or slowly trading sideways. Again, I think we'll get a little bit of a pullback tomorrow. Again, depending on what goes on with that stable coin talk, get some more numbers tomorrow. Could possibly drive the market. Again, a lot of it is on jobs too, because remember Powell did mention that rate raises will all be determined on jobs and how that's playing out. And again, there is in the foreseeable future, there is not people haven't been returning. It's a great recession, right? So resignation. So a lot of people have not have taken time away from work and doing their other thing, starting their own businesses and everything else. So you have to keep that in mind and where the market is at. So just manage risk, be careful. And I think this next run will be pretty big. Just be cautious. Again, Again, price action is still really showing very bullish. I haven't really seen any kind of bearish movements here. If there's any bearish news, it sells off fairly quickly and pick right back up. So with that being said, remember to drop a like button if you made it this far and subscribe if you haven't done so. Till next time, I will see you guys later.